Hey everybody, it's Eric, 80s Horror Man here, and welcome to day 15 for my 31 Days of Horror. Today, I'll be doing a movie that was done in 1992, and I guess when this movie came out in that year, I guess this movie ended up scaring the shit out of a lot of people who end up watching this movie, because when I end up mentioning the name of this movie, they said, I remember seeing that one, and they all tell me how that movie ended up scaring the shit out of them. So I guess this movie must have scared the shit out of a lot of people when they saw this movie. And it is another recognizable title of a horror movie, and that's Candyman. Now, Candyman is we got this woman by the name of Helen Lyle. She works at a university, and her colleagues starts telling her about this story here of a guy named Candyman, and she's like intrigued by this story because she's thinking Candyman's not real; he's just a myth. So she goes to this little town called Cabrini Green just to get some answers to find out more about Candyman. So they end up explaining to her who Candyman was before he became known as Candyman, where he was like a painter back in the day. He was hired by this wealthy man to paint a portrait of his daughter, but then him and the daughter decided to have feelings for one another. But then when they found out that he was chased down by the angry mob, and he sawed off his right hand with a rusty saw blade, he grabbed the honey from the bees and smeared it all over his body, where he was stung to death by bees. And they say that if you stand in the mirror, call his name 5 times, he will appear behind you, and he'll have a hook placed in his bloody stump where his right hand used to be. So, where Helen decides to give it a try on calling Candyman's name 5 times by just standing and looking into the mirror, and and she's like, see, nothing. And it told you he doesn't exist, but it turns out he actually does exist because was later on in the movie you see her actually coming face to face with Candyman, and for the very first time, where she hears his voice calling out his name, where he's just like Helen. So where she's thinking that like you're not real, you're just a figment of my imagination, but it turns out he actually is real. So or that's pretty much like the synopsis of this movie. He and this movie did come from the mind of Clive Barker, the guy who's known for doing the Hellraiser movies. But the thanks to Screen Factory, this movie is a 2 disc edition, where disc one is the theatrical version, and the second disc is the unrated version, where it shows extra footage that you never saw in the theatrical version. So there is special features, like for special features on the disc one, so the theatrical version, there's the let's see, there's a new audio commentary with the director and actor Tony Todd, new audio commentary with authors, audio commentary with the director Arthur Clive Barker, producer and actors Tony Todd, Virginia Madsen, and Cassie Lemons. Sweets to the Sweet, the Candyman mythos, Clive Barker, Raising Hell, Bernard Rose's storyboards, theatrical trailers, TV spots, and still gallery. Now for disc 2, for the unrated version, for the special features, you got Be My Victim, an interview with Tony Todd. The new It Was Always You, Helen, an interview with Virginia Madsen. New The Writing on the Wall, the production design of Candyman, an interview with the production designer. New Forbidden Flesh, the makeup effects of Candyman, including interviews with special makeup effects artist. knew a story to tell. Clive Barker's The Forbidden, and there's also where writer Douglas E. Winter on Clive Barker's seminal books of Blood and Candyman's source story, The Forbidden, and new urban legend Unwrapping Candyman, and more. So, or again, this is a 2 disc edition that Screen Factory managed to put out, and it does have a reversible cover art because when the movie came out on VHS at the time, this was the original cover art I remember seeing in stores, and my mom would let me watch the movie because I guess she thought the movie would end up scaring me or giving me nightmares, but I wasn't really scared of the movie, and it didn't give me nightmares. So I just don't know the reason why she figured it was not okay for me to watch it. Maybe she just figured that the movie was not appropriate for me. But they did end up doing a couple sequels to it. They did the second one back in 1995, and they did the third one in the late 90s as well. And I thought the sequels were okay. They're not too bad, but the first one I still stick with. And they also did another version of Candyman, but it's not really a remake. It's actually kind of almost like a continuation to the first Candyman, or however you want to call it. And that version was actually not bad. It was interesting. But this is the movie that put Tony Todd on the map because his first movie appearance was the remake of Night of the Living Dead, but when he did Candyman, this is the movie that made him. This is how he became one of the most recognizable horror names in the horror industry. So, Candyman from 1992, definitely recommend checking out for those who hasn't seen it. But if you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Alright guys, so that's it for day 15 from our 31 Days of Horror. What do you guys think? Have you seen this movie before? I'm pretty sure you all have. If you haven't, check it out. But if you have seen it, let me know in the comments down below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Also, what did you think of the sequels? And what did you think of the newer version of Candyman that's not really a remake? Did you guys end up liking that one too? Also, like and subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for some more videos and some more videos for 31 Days of Horror later.